How many times have you let anger tear you apart from the inside? How often have you felt frustration burn through your peace, leaving you with a knot in your stomach and a mind that won't stop racing? Here's the truth. You're giving away your power every time you let these emotions control you. They may feel like they're justified, like the world is unfair, and you have every right to be angry. But the Stoics knew something we often forget. It's not the world that disturbs us. It's how we choose to respond to it. And if you're constantly reacting, if you're always at the mercy of your emotions, then you're living like a slave. But what if you didn't have to live like that anymore? What if you could choose peace, no matter what life throws at you? Stoicism offers us the tools to break free from this cycle, to stop reacting to the world and start mastering our own minds. If you're ready to stop being a victim of your emotions and finally take control, consider subscribing. It's about transforming how you approach life. Your growth starts here, with you making the choice to become the master of your own peace. Rule 1. Separate what happened from what you think it means. You're stuck in traffic. Someone cuts you off. Instant frustration. But let's slow down for a second. What really made you upset? The event or the story you told yourself about it? The Stoics believed that events themselves are neutral. It's the meaning we give them that determines how we feel. Think about it. When someone cuts you off, you could interpret the situation in 100 different ways. You could see it as disrespect, as a threat, or as an inconvenience that ruins your day. But the reality is that none of these interpretations are inherent to the event. The car cutting you off is just that, a car changing lanes. Everything that follows, that rush of anger, is based on the judgment you attach to it. The Stoics had a brilliant insight here. Events are neutral. It's only when we attach meaning that they become good or bad, frustrating or relieving. This is where our power lies. Imagine this for a moment. What if the situation was truly neutral? What if the car cutting you off was just that, a car changing lanes? What would happen if you decided that it wasn't disrespectful, it wasn't an attack on your time, and it wasn't a personal slight? What if you could just accept that this event doesn't need to disturb your peace? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." The key to inner peace isn't found in changing the world around you, but in changing your relationship with the world. The car cutting you off doesn't need to trigger frustration. It's just a neutral event. The frustration is yours to control, and it's your judgment, not the event, that is causing the pain. The Stoic perspective asks us to take a moment before reacting, to pause and reflect on what's happening and why we're reacting. And here's the critical part. The pause is where the magic happens. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't feel frustrated. It's about understanding that your emotions aren't automatically justified. They're the product of how you choose to interpret the situation. So, the next time you feel that rush of anger building inside you, try this. Pause. Take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, am I upset because of what happened or because of the meaning I gave it? That pause can make all the difference. It's like pressing the reset button. You stop being swept away by the emotions of the moment and regain control over how you feel. You're no longer reacting automatically. Instead, you're responding thoughtfully. Think about it like this. You're walking through life, carrying a backpack of thoughts, emotions, and judgments. Every little frustration, every comment, every situation adds weight to that backpack. And then one day, it becomes too heavy. You get overwhelmed by the smallest things. But what if you could take off the backpack entirely, or at least lighten the load? The Stoics teach us that we don't need to carry that weight around. The meaning we assign to events is what adds the weight. If we can detach ourselves from these judgments, we free ourselves from the burden of frustration. You don't need to carry every insult, every delay, or every inconvenience with you. Instead, you can choose to let it go. Imagine that every frustration, every moment that makes you angry, is just another opportunity to practice letting go. If you catch yourself attaching meaning to something that isn't helpful, you can choose to reframe the story and let it pass through you without leaving a mark. The Stoics weren't just about denying emotions, they were about controlling them, recognizing that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. It's not the world that makes us angry. It's our own interpretation of the world. By choosing to separate the event from the judgment, we give ourselves the power to respond from a place of peace instead of reaction. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of rushing into a judgment about their intentions or their rudeness, take a moment to consider that maybe they're rushing to the hospital, or maybe they didn't even see you. The point is that their actions don't have to cause you harm unless you choose to attach a meaning to them that brings you pain. It's about understanding that you have the power to choose your emotional response. That's where your peace is rooted, not in what happens to you, but in how you decide to respond to what happens. When you understand this, it changes everything. You stop being the victim of your circumstances. You stop being a slave to your emotions. Instead, you become the master of your mind. You're no longer at the mercy of someone's careless driving, a harsh comment, or a difficult situation. You realize that your peace is your responsibility. You are the one who decides whether to let a moment of frustration turn into a full-blown anger storm, or whether to let it pass like a cloud in the sky. When you embrace this mindset, you start to feel like life has less power over you. You're no longer at the mercy of external events. You are grounded, clear, and unshaken. This Stoic practice doesn't mean you won't feel anger. You will. It doesn't mean you won't experience frustration, sadness, or disappointment. These are all part of being human. But what Stoicism teaches us is that we don't have to be controlled by them. You can feel frustration rise, but you can also recognize that it's not the situation that's causing it. It's your interpretation. When you catch yourself in the middle of an emotional reaction, you can choose to pause, breathe, and ask, am I upset because of what happened, or because of what I think it means? And when you practice this, you begin to notice a shift. The situations that used to throw you off course don't have the same power over you anymore. The frustration that once felt overwhelming becomes a passing wave. The anger that once consumed you now just glides through, leaving no trace. You've learned to separate what happens from what you think it means, and in doing so, you've reclaimed your peace. It's not about forcing yourself to feel a certain way or pretending to be calm. It's about choosing how to react and understanding that you always have a choice. Next time you find yourself in a situation that triggers anger or frustration, remember this rule. Take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, what meaning am I giving this moment? If it's not helpful, change the story. Separate the event from the judgment, and you'll find that your peace is always within your reach. It's never outside of you, it's always up to you. Rule 2. Expect imperfection in people. Let's face it, people can be rude, selfish, or just downright inconsiderate. Maybe someone cuts in line, a friend forgets to keep their promise, or a stranger snaps at you for no reason. It happens, right? It's easy to let these moments get under your skin. We've all been there, feeling angry or hurt by the actions of others. But what if I told you that the real problem isn't that people are flawed, but that we expect them to be perfect? Marcus Aurelius understood this. Every morning he would remind himself that the people he would encounter that day would be far from perfect. He didn't expect them to be kind, thoughtful, or considerate. Instead, he prepared himself for human imperfection. He accepted it. He knew that people would be meddling, selfish, and often unaware of how their actions affected others. And because of this simple mental preparation, he didn't let their behavior catch him off guard. Think about it. How many times have you gotten frustrated because someone didn't act the way you thought they should? You expected them to be polite, understanding, or at least respectful, and when they weren't, it upset you. This is the trap. Expecting others to be flawless leads to constant disappointment. When we hold people to an impossible standard, we end up feeling let down and angry. But if we shift our mindset and expect imperfection, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration. So here's a small change you can make that will have a big impact on your peace of mind. Every morning, remind yourself, I will meet people today who are imperfect, and that's okay. This simple adjustment in expectation will completely change how you approach your day. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a colleague is rude, or when a friend forgets an important commitment, you'll be less likely to let their actions steal your peace. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you'll be able to step back and say, this is just part of life. People are flawed. It doesn't define me. By accepting human imperfection, you also begin to practice compassion. Instead of getting angry, you understand that everyone has their struggles, their own battles, and their own limitations. When someone is rude, it's often a reflection of their inner turmoil, not something aimed at you. When you stop expecting others to be perfect, you stop taking their mistakes personally. It's no longer about you versus them. It's about accepting that we all fall short sometimes, and that's okay. This shift doesn't mean you condone bad behavior or let people walk all over you. It simply means that you're not letting their flaws dictate your emotional state. This idea ties directly into the Stoic practice of inner control. The Stoics believed that true peace comes from managing your own reactions, not from controlling the actions of others. You can't make everyone behave the way you want, but you can choose how you respond. When you expect imperfection, you give yourself the freedom to remain calm no matter what others do. The key here is detachment, detaching your emotional well-being from the behavior of others. When someone is rude or inconsiderate, you don't have to absorb their negativity. Instead, you can recognize that it's a reflection of their own state, not a personal attack on you. Imagine how different your day would be if you didn't take other people's mistakes personally. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you simply smile and move on. When a colleague is short with you, you let it go instead of holding on to the anger. This is the power of preparing for imperfection. It allows you to move through life with greater ease and peace, knowing that the flaws of others don't have to disturb your inner calm. You stop getting tangled in their mistakes, and instead, you focus on your own peace of mind. And here's the most profound part of this rule. It teaches you to practice forgiveness, not just towards others, but towards yourself. When you stop expecting perfection from others, you also stop expecting perfection from yourself. We are all human. We all make mistakes. By accepting the flaws in others, you begin to extend that same grace to yourself. You don't beat yourself up for every mistake or failure. You allow yourself to be human, and in doing so, you become more understanding and less harsh on yourself. In a world where we often expect the best from everyone around us, expecting imperfection feels like a radical act. But in reality, it's liberating. It frees you from the constant disappointment of unmet expectations. You stop measuring others against an impossible standard, and you start accepting the world as it is, messy, unpredictable, and perfectly imperfect. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or allow others to take advantage of you. It simply means you stop letting their imperfections ruin your peace. So, the next time you feel frustrated by someone's behavior, pause for a moment and remind yourself, people are imperfect, and that's okay. You'll notice a shift immediately. The situation won't feel as heavy. The anger won't rise so quickly. By changing your expectations, you'll find yourself less triggered and more at peace. This is the beauty of Stoic wisdom. We don't change the world around us, but we change our response to it. And in doing so, we reclaim control over our peace, our energy, and our happiness. Next time you find yourself frustrated with someone, try this. Take a deep breath. Let go of the expectation of perfection and respond with calm. Let their flaws be just that, flaws. They don't have to be your problem. This simple shift in mindset can transform how you experience the world, making you unshakable in your peace. Rule 3. Master the voice in your head. You know that voice inside your head? The one that keeps replaying things over and over, making the situation worse than it really is? It's the one that takes a small comment, a passing moment, and turns it into a full-blown story that eats away at your peace. We've all been there. Someone says something hurtful or thoughtless, and before you know it, your mind is spiraling. You're playing out scenarios, thinking of all the things you should have said, and reliving the frustration over and over again. But what if I told you that you don't have to listen to that voice? What if you could actually control it? The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't just believe that our reactions were important. They believed that our thoughts shape our reality. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that truly matters. In fact, Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." That's a game changer, isn't it? The events themselves don't disturb us. It's our interpretation of those events that creates turmoil. Think about it for a second. Someone insults you. Maybe it's a comment at work, or something someone says in passing. If you let that initial thought take hold, it snowballs. That first angry thought becomes another, and before long, you're completely caught up in it, feeling that rush of heat, frustration, and even resentment. But what if you could stop the story before it even begins? What if instead of letting your mind run wild, you took control of that first thought? That's exactly what the Stoics teach us. The first step in mastering your inner peace is to catch that initial thought. Don't let it spiral. If someone insults you, instead of allowing your mind to take that insult personally, pause and remind yourself, this is just their opinion, not my truth. Simple, right? But so powerful. When you replace the story of anger with a story of detachment, the power of the insult fades. It's no longer about what they said or how they made you feel. It's about how you choose to interpret the situation. By controlling that initial reaction, you take back your peace. The truth is, we all have an inner dialogue that shapes how we experience the world. It's that constant chatter in your head, the one that tells you how to feel, how to respond, and how to react. Most of the time, this inner voice is on autopilot, leading us into emotional reactions without us even realizing it. But the Stoics had a different approach. They knew that the first thought that pops into your head isn't always the best one. It's not always the most logical or peaceful thought. The Stoic practice involves catching that thought before it runs away with you. So the next time something triggers you, whether it's an insult, an inconvenience, or something that doesn't go your way, take a moment to pause. Catch that first thought. It might sound like, "How dare they say that to me?" or "This is so unfair," but that's when you have the power to stop it. Replace it with something more constructive. "I am in control of how I feel, not them." The Stoics weren't trying to ignore their feelings. They were simply choosing how they responded to them. And that's a skill we can all learn to master. The idea here is simple but profound. We don't have to be controlled by our thoughts. It's not about suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that we have a choice. The thoughts that arise in our minds don't have to control us unless we let them. So, when that first angry thought appears, you have the power to redirect it. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of getting angry, you can choose to think, "They're just in a hurry. This doesn't affect my day unless I let it." It's a simple shift, but it makes all the difference. Now, let's take it a step further. Once you've caught that first thought and replaced it with something more peaceful, the next step is to talk to yourself like a wise guide, not an enemy. We often beat ourselves up for feeling a certain way. When we feel anger, frustration, or jealousy, we might think, "Why am I feeling like this? I should be better than this." But what if we spoke to ourselves with more compassion? What if, instead of berating ourselves, we gave ourselves the same understanding we would give a friend? When the anger arises, don't call yourself weak. Don't criticize yourself for feeling angry. Instead, ask yourself, is this anger really helping me right now? What can I learn from this feeling? This isn't about ignoring your emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about guiding yourself through the emotion instead of being overwhelmed by it. When you take this approach, you start to shift the inner dialogue. Instead of fueling the anger with negative self-talk, you guide yourself towards clarity, calm, and control. When you become aware of your thoughts and take control of your inner dialogue, you'll find that your emotions have less power over you. This practice doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and patience, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to catch that first thought and redirect it. You begin to realize that your thoughts don't define you. You are not your first reaction. You are the one who decides how to respond. That's the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't ask you to suppress your emotions. It asks you to control them. The most important part of this practice is not letting your emotions dictate your actions. Think about it. How many times have you reacted impulsively and later regretted it? How many times have you said something in anger that you didn't mean? The Stoic way is different. They teach us to pause before acting, to recognize that the first thought might be fueled by emotion, but we have the power to replace it with wisdom. When you begin to control your inner dialogue, you start to control your peace. You're no longer a prisoner to your emotions. Instead, you are the one in charge. Let's go even deeper. How often do we let our minds spiral into negativity? It's so easy to fall into the trap of ruminating on the negative. Someone insults us, and instead of letting it go, we keep replaying it in our minds, adding layers of hurt and anger. But this is where the Stoics offer a profound lesson. You don't have to play that story in your mind over and over again. Instead of letting the mind spin out of control, you can choose to break the cycle. When anger arises, you can pause and say, "This is not the story I want to tell myself." In that pause, you regain control over your thoughts. In that moment, you decide not to fuel the fire of anger. You choose peace instead. So, the next time someone insults you or something goes wrong, catch that first thought. Take control. Don't let the anger consume you. Replace the negative with something more peaceful. Remind yourself that you have the power to choose your response. In doing so, you'll notice a shift. Your peace won't be dependent on external circumstances. It will come from within, from the mastery of your thoughts. And that is where true freedom lies. Mastering the voice in your head isn't about silencing it. It's about guiding it. You're the one in control. When you learn to master your inner dialogue, you master your peace. You master your mind. And from there, you become unstoppable. Rule 4. Hit the pause button. Ever felt your anger rising and wished you could just stop? The heat of frustration creeping up your neck, your heart racing, your mind filled with thoughts of retaliation or judgment. In that moment, it feels like you have no control, like your emotions are running the show. But what if you could take back that control? What if, instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions, you could pause, just for a moment, and choose how to respond? This is where the Stoic practice of the pause comes in. The Stoics understood that true strength lies not in reacting impulsively, but in taking a step back before we respond. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, we have the power to choose our response." This is one of the most powerful lessons we can take from Stoic wisdom. In that brief moment between what happens and how we react, we hold the key to our peace. We live in a world that moves fast, where our impulses are constantly being triggered. A rude comment, an unexpected delay, a frustrating situation at work. All these things can send us into a tailspin of anger or frustration. It's almost automatic. We don't even think before we react. But here's the thing. The Stoics teach us that we don't have to be slaves to our impulses. We have the power to choose. That's the space Viktor Frankl is talking about. When something triggers us, there's a moment, a tiny pause, where we can decide how we want to respond. It's like having a buffer between the world outside and our emotional world inside. Instead of letting our anger take over and make us say or do something we'll regret, we can step back and choose peace. Next time you feel that anger rising, I want you to try something simple. Take 3 deep breaths. Sounds easy, right? But it's incredibly powerful. In those 3 breaths, you create a space for yourself. You break the automatic reaction. You regain control. What's happening in that moment is simple but profound. You're not allowing your emotions to dictate your actions. You're taking back your power. Imagine this. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your heart races, your fists clench, your mind is ready to lash out. But instead of reacting right away, you pause, you breathe, you let the frustration pass like a wave. You're not a slave to your impulses anymore. In that pause, you choose calm. You choose to remain unshaken. It's a small act, but it has the power to change the entire trajectory of your day. We often think that we have to react immediately, that if we don't express our anger or frustration, it will build up inside us. But the Stoics knew better. Suppressing emotions isn't the goal. The goal is to control them, to direct them in a way that serves us, not harms us. By hitting the pause button, you allow yourself the space to decide whether reacting is the best course of action. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about choosing how you want to engage with them. This is the power of the pause. It's not weakness to pause, it's strength. It's an act of wisdom, a conscious choice to stay grounded no matter what's happening around you. Think about how much better your interactions would be if you practiced this pause. How many times have you said something in anger that you regretted later? How many relationships have been strained because of a snap reaction to a momentary frustration? The pause gives you the chance to think before you act. It gives you the opportunity to pause, to reflect, and to ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? Is this response aligned with the person I want to be? In the heat of the moment, we often forget that we have this power, but we do. The pause is a moment of clarity, a chance to take a step back from the emotion and decide how we want to act. In practice, this pause isn't just about breathing. It's about becoming more aware of what's happening inside you. It's about noticing that tension rising and realizing that you don't have to act on it. You have the space to choose. You have the freedom to decide whether this moment will define your mood, your day, or even your life. The pause helps you to break free from the automatic, reactive behavior that so often leads us to regret. It gives you the ability to pause and ask, what's the wisest response here? And more often than not, the wisest response is calmness, clarity, and choosing peace over conflict. But here's where it gets really interesting. The more you practice the pause, the easier it becomes. It's like building a muscle. At first, it might feel awkward or forced. You might find yourself reacting before you remember to pause. But over time, as you consciously choose to step back and breathe, it becomes second nature. The pause becomes your automatic response. You no longer need to remind yourself to take 3 breaths because it's already ingrained in you. You've trained yourself to respond instead of react, and that's where the real power lies. And it's not just about the big moments either. The pause can be just as useful in the small, everyday frustrations. When the barista gets your order wrong, when someone interrupts you in conversation, or when you feel like the world is moving at a pace that's too fast for you to keep up. These small moments are the perfect opportunities to practice the pause. If you can master the pause in the small moments, you'll find that it becomes easier to apply it in the bigger, more challenging situations. Here's the catch. This pause doesn't mean you're avoiding conflict or suppressing emotions. It means you're giving yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. When you choose to pause, you choose to stay in control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. You're choosing to be the calm in the storm, not swept away by the chaos around you. This shift in mindset is powerful. It's life-changing, and it's something the Stoics practiced daily, reminding themselves that while they couldn't control external events, they always had control over how they responded. In that moment of pause, you're not just changing how you react, you're changing who you are. You're building your inner strength, your wisdom, and your resilience. You're training yourself to meet life with calm, not chaos. It's a practice that not only keeps your peace intact, but also allows you to live a more intentional, thoughtful life. So next time you feel your anger rising or your frustration building, remember, hit the pause button, breathe, take a moment. Let the space between stimulus and response be the place where you find your power. Because in that space, you are free to choose how you respond, and that's where true strength lies. Rule 5. Don't take things personally. We've all been there. Someone says something rude and suddenly your heart races, your face flushes, and you can feel the anger starting to bubble up. Your first instinct is to react, to defend yourself, to fire back with words that match the sting of the insult. It feels like you have to do something, like the hurt and the frustration demand a response. But here's the thing. What if I told you that someone else's words are not a reflection of who you are, but a reflection of who they are? Let's take a moment to pause and consider this. When someone speaks badly of you, the pain you feel isn't because their words are true. It's because you've allowed them to invade your mind, to shift your sense of self. Their words are about them, not about you. Epictetus understood this deeply. He once said, "If someone speaks badly of you, remember they do so because they think it's right." This insight is key to mastering our emotional responses. The insult or criticism isn't about you. It's about the person delivering it, their internal struggles, insecurities, and worldview. When someone insults you, what they're revealing is more about their own mindset than it is about your worth or character. People act out of their own beliefs and emotions, not yours. So the next time someone lashes out or says something hurtful, take a step back. Don't take it personally. Instead, try to remind yourself that this person's behavior stems from their own inner turmoil, their own state of mind. Here's the truth. We live in a world where everyone has their own battles, their own pain, their own way of viewing the world. Often, people lash out because they are hurting or insecure themselves. When you understand this, you begin to see that their actions aren't a personal attack. They're simply a reflection of what they are going through. This mindset shift can completely change how you experience the world. When someone insults you, you no longer feel the need to take on their negativity. You realize that their words aren't a direct assault on your character, but rather a projection of their own emotions. This is where peace begins. This doesn't mean that you have to agree with what they say or let them get away with bad behavior. It simply means that you don't let their words define you. You stop giving their opinions the power to disrupt your peace. Instead of getting caught up in the emotional whirlwind of a hurtful comment, you can pause, reflect, and choose how you want to respond. By not taking things personally, you regain control over your emotional state. You stop being a pawn in someone else's emotional game. Think about it. How much energy do we waste carrying around the hurt of others' words? We replay the insult over and over in our minds, dissecting it, giving it more weight than it deserves. But when you stop taking it personally, you begin to see the situation for what it is, someone else's perspective, not your truth. You don't have to wear their negativity. It's theirs to carry, not yours. You have the choice to let it slide off you like water off a duck's back. When you stop internalizing other people's insults, you free yourself from their emotional hold. Here's a practical exercise to help you put this into practice. When someone says something hurtful, before you react, take a moment and ask yourself, what does this say about them, not about me? By shifting the focus from yourself to their inner world, you can see the situation in a new light. Their words are likely coming from their own fears, frustrations, or misunderstandings. They may be dealing with things you don't even know about. And in that moment, their emotional state is influencing their behavior toward you. But that doesn't mean you have to absorb it. You don't have to take it on or let it define who you are. You can choose to view their words as a reflection of their own struggles, not an attack on your character. When you embrace this mindset, something amazing happens. You stop letting others control your emotional state. Instead of getting caught up in their drama, you choose to remain calm, centered, and at peace. You become the observer of the situation, not the participant in the emotional turmoil. The power to remain unshaken doesn't come from controlling the actions of others, but from controlling how you respond to them. You stop reacting to the world and start responding thoughtfully, which is a practice the Stoics mastered. It's important to understand that this doesn't mean you won't ever feel upset or hurt by someone's words. We're all human, and emotions are natural. What Stoicism teaches is that we don't have to be ruled by them. Feelings of hurt, frustration, and anger will arise, but it's what you choose to do with those feelings that matter. You can acknowledge the hurt, feel the frustration, and then choose not to let it dominate your mind. The key is in how you process and release the emotion rather than holding on to it. The power of not taking things personally is that you release the hold others have over you. You stop letting their words and actions dictate how you feel. Instead of letting an insult ruin your day or make you question your worth, you can stand strong in your own truth. You don't need their validation to know who you are. Your sense of self isn't based on their opinions or their criticisms. When you stop taking things personally, you start to operate from a place of self-assurance and peace. What's more, this mindset shift helps you cultivate compassion. When you stop taking things personally, you begin to see the humanity in others. You understand that everyone has their own struggles and flaws, and that sometimes people lash out because they don't know how to process their own emotions. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, you can approach the situation with empathy and understanding. You don't excuse their behavior, but you acknowledge that they are coming from a place of inner conflict. You choose not to mirror their negativity, but instead you respond with kindness and calmness. This doesn't mean you allow yourself to be mistreated or walk over, but it means you respond with grace rather than reacting in anger. By choosing not to take things personally, you reclaim your emotional power. You no longer let external events or other people's actions dictate your state of mind. You choose to be the master of your emotional world, and in doing so, you create a sense of inner peace that no one can take away. It's liberating, freeing, and it brings you closer to the peace that Stoicism promises, a peace that comes from within and doesn't rely on the outside world. Next time someone insults you or says something hurtful, remember, this is about them, not you. Their words are a reflection of their own struggles, not a statement on your worth. Take a moment to pause, reflect, and release their negativity. Your peace is yours to protect, and no one can take that from you unless you let them. Rule 6. Drop it like it's hot. Anger is a powerful emotion, but have you ever stopped to think about what it really does to you? It's like holding on to a burning coal. At first it seems small, even manageable, but the longer you keep holding it, the more it burns you. The Stoics had a profound understanding of this destructive force. They didn't just teach us to control our anger, they taught us to let it go quickly, because the longer you hold on to it, the more damage it does to your peace, your clarity, and your inner balance. Anger doesn't punish the person who wronged you. It punishes you. It poisons your thoughts, disturbs your emotions, and steals your energy. The Stoics were clear on this. Holding on to anger is self-inflicted harm. And yet it's so easy to hold on to it, isn't it? We think that if we just nurse the anger for a little while longer, we'll feel justified, or perhaps we'll be able to fix the situation. But in reality, it's the opposite. The more we cling to that anger, the more it controls us. Take a moment to reflect on a time when you were angry. Perhaps someone cut you off in traffic, or a colleague said something rude. How long did that anger last? Was it just a few seconds, or did it drag on throughout the day? Here's the thing about anger. The longer we hold on to it, the more it clouds our judgment and our ability to think clearly. We've all experienced it, the moment when frustration festers into bitterness, and suddenly it feels like everything is wrong. But the Stoics understood that this isn't just harmful, it's completely unnecessary. Holding on to anger doesn't change the situation. It doesn't make the person who wronged you apologize, and it doesn't make the traffic move any faster. It just keeps you stuck in a cycle of negative energy. The more you hold on to it, the worse it feels. But the moment you decide to release it, your peace returns. The wisdom of the Stoics is clear. Recognize when you're holding on to anger and let it go quickly. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. Anger is a natural human response. What the Stoics teach us is that we have the ability to choose when to release it, and in doing so, we free ourselves from its grip. When you find yourself caught in that cycle of anger, take a moment to acknowledge it, feel it, experience it, and then let it go. The moment you do, you regain your sense of control. Instead of letting anger control you, you take back your peace. This is where true freedom lies, in your ability to release what doesn't serve you. Imagine walking around carrying a heavy weight all day. You know it's there, but you keep dragging it with you because you think you need it. You might even get used to it, but the weight is always there, slowing you down, tiring you out. Anger works the same way. At first, it might seem like something you need to hold on to, something that validates your feelings. But over time, it weighs you down. It keeps you from moving forward. And just like with any weight, the sooner you drop it, the lighter you feel. The Stoics knew this. They didn't just teach us to suppress emotions or bottle things up. They taught us that the moment we let go, we reclaim our peace. But letting go isn't always easy, is it? It's hard to walk away from anger, especially when you feel justified. The story you've created around the anger makes it feel like you need it, that you deserve to keep it. But here's the paradox. The more you cling to anger, the more it owns you. You're giving up your peace for something that doesn't benefit you. When you carry anger, it doesn't change the past. It doesn't get back at the person who wronged you. All it does is keep you stuck in the past. It doesn't move you forward, it holds you back. This is why the Stoics emphasized the importance of letting go quickly. It's not weak to drop anger, it's wise. Letting go is a conscious choice to free yourself from a toxic emotion. When you make that choice, you stop being at the mercy of your feelings and start taking control of your emotional state. In practical terms, this is a skill that requires mindfulness. When you're feeling angry, notice it. Acknowledge it without judgment, and then ask yourself, is holding on to this anger serving me? The answer will often be no. The moment you realize this, you have the ability to choose to let it go. It might take a few tries. It might feel unnatural at first, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. The Stoics didn't expect us to master it overnight. They knew that it takes time to break old patterns, especially when it comes to something as powerful as anger. But with practice, you'll find that you don't need to hold on to anger the way you once did. You'll learn to release it more quickly, and with that release, you'll discover a sense of peace and freedom you didn't know was possible. And here's something to consider. By holding on to anger, you're letting someone else's behavior control your emotional state. You're letting them dictate how you feel. That's a form of self-sabotage. You can't change other people's actions, but you can change how you respond to them. When you drop the anger, you stop giving them power over you. The Stoics taught that true strength comes from mastering ourselves, not trying to control the world around us. When you let go of the burning coal of anger, you regain that power. You take back control over your emotional world. You stop being at the mercy of others and start living from a place of inner peace and strength. The key to mastering anger is understanding that holding on to it only hurts you. The other person might move on, forget the incident, or even never realize they've hurt you. But you're the one carrying the burden. Letting go of anger is an act of self-care. It's about protecting your peace, your clarity, and your emotional well-being. When you choose to drop it, you create space for calm, clarity, and wisdom. The Stoics weren't asking us to be passive in the face of injustice. They weren't telling us to ignore our emotions. They were teaching us to release the hold anger has on us so that we can make clear, rational decisions moving forward. Anger clouds judgment and clouds the path ahead. When you release it, you clear the way to make better choices. It's important to remember that dropping anger doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It doesn't mean you ignore wrongdoing or injustice. What it means is that you don't let anger dictate how you respond to those things. You can stand firm in your values, set boundaries, and confront issues head-on, but without carrying the emotional weight of anger. You handle it with wisdom and clarity, not with bitterness. The next time you feel the burn of anger rising, take a step back, drop it like it's hot, let it go. The moment you do, you'll feel the weight lift off your shoulders, and in that moment, you'll realize that you've regained your peace. You've taken control, and that's where true freedom lies. Rule 7. Turn problems into teachers. Life is full of obstacles. We all know it. Traffic jams, long lines, missed opportunities, arguments that go nowhere. It's easy to get frustrated. These things disrupt our day, our plans, and our peace of mind. But what if I told you that these very obstacles, these moments that seem like setbacks, are actually opportunities? What if every frustration, every challenge was designed to teach us something? The Stoics understood this deeply. Every obstacle is a teacher, they said, and instead of seeing them as roadblocks, We could choose to see them as opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: the impediment to action advances action. What does that mean? Simply put, the very things that stand in our way often propel us forward. The challenges we face are not obstacles to our success. They are the things that shape us, that build us, that force us to become better. Think about it for a second. How many times have you encountered a setback and your first instinct was to get frustrated, to feel defeated, or to throw in the towel? Maybe you were stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting, or perhaps you faced an unexpected challenge at work that threw your whole day off course. It's easy to let these things get to us. We focus on the inconvenience, the annoyance, the fact that things didn't go as planned. But what if we shifted our perspective just a little? What if, instead of seeing these things as problems, we viewed them as teachers? The traffic jam, maybe it's teaching you patience. The argument with a colleague, maybe it's showing you how to communicate more effectively. The missed opportunity, maybe it's preparing you for something even bigger and better down the road. The obstacles are not the enemy, they're just part of the training. And that's something the Stoics knew well. The first step in this process is to recognize when an obstacle appears. It might be something as simple as getting stuck behind a slow car, or it might be a more significant challenge, like a missed opportunity or a difficult conversation. But the important part isn't what happens to us, it's how we respond. Instead of getting frustrated, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what lesson is life teaching me right now? In that moment of reflection, you open up the possibility of growth. You take the focus off the problem and put it on the opportunity. Instead of letting the obstacle throw you off course, you turn it into a chance to learn. This shift in mindset is powerful. It's not about pretending the obstacle doesn't exist, but about recognizing that even the most difficult situations have something to teach us. When you face a setback, the key is to remain open to the lesson. Life doesn't always give us the answers we want in the form we expect, but it always has something to teach. Sometimes the lesson is subtle. It might be as simple as learning how to deal with frustration or recognizing that things won't always go according to plan. Other times, the lesson might be deeper, like understanding where you need to improve or how you can approach a situation differently next time. Whatever it is, the Stoic principle remains the same. Every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The setbacks you face are part of your growth. They are training you for something greater. Imagine how different life would feel if you stopped seeing obstacles as roadblocks. Think about all the times you've been caught up in frustration, all the times you've allowed setbacks to steal your peace. Now, imagine if you could take those same moments and see them for what they are, stepping stones. Life doesn't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean it's against you. In fact, the Stoics would argue that life is constantly offering us challenges to help us become better versions of ourselves. If we can learn to embrace these obstacles instead of resisting them, we become stronger with each challenge. Obstacles aren't just things to get through. They are the very things that build us into who we are meant to become. Think about some of the most difficult challenges you've faced. At the time, they may have felt like insurmountable obstacles, like things that were working against you. But looking back, how many of those moments were actually opportunities in disguise? Maybe you lost a job, but that loss led to a new career path. Maybe you had a falling out with a friend, but that experience taught you something valuable about boundaries and self-respect. What at first felt like an obstacle was actually a stepping stone, a teacher in disguise. The Stoics knew that life was filled with these moments. They understood that we can't always control the events around us, but we can always control how we respond to them. This mindset isn't about being passive or accepting defeat. It's about taking active responsibility for your growth. When you face an obstacle, you don't just sit back and let life happen to you. Instead, you lean into it, ask what you can learn, and use it as fuel for personal development. The impediment advances action. The obstacle itself propels you forward. It challenges you to become stronger, more adaptable, and more prepared for the next step on your journey. Every setback, every difficult moment is another opportunity to level up. So, what can we learn from this? The next time something goes wrong, the next time you face a challenge or setback, ask yourself, what can this teach me? Shift your focus from the problem to the lesson. Embrace the obstacle as part of your training. Whether it's teaching you patience, resilience, or how to communicate better, take the lesson and let it shape you. By doing this, you move beyond simply surviving obstacles to actually thriving because of them. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a creator of your own path. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity to grow. When you start to see obstacles this way, something incredible happens. You stop fearing failure. You stop fearing setbacks. Instead, you see them as essential parts of your journey. You realize that nothing in life is wasted. Every experience, every challenge is contributing to your growth. You stop running from the difficult moments and start running towards them, knowing that they are the things that will ultimately lead you to become the best version of yourself. So, the next time life throws you a curveball, remember, this is not a setback. It's a teacher in disguise. Embrace the lesson, learn from it, and use it to become even stronger. In doing so, you'll realize that life's obstacles are not your enemy. They are your training ground, preparing you for something greater. Rule 8. Practice gratitude for what is. We often spend so much time wishing things were different, thinking that if only this one thing were changed, if only this situation was more like what we imagined, we'd finally be happy, at peace, or content. It's easy to fall into this trap. We look at other people's lives, or even at our own circumstances, and imagine a different reality. But here's the truth. Life doesn't owe you perfection. In fact, it's often far from it. The Stoics knew this deeply. They understood that peace doesn't come from waiting for life to align perfectly with our expectations. It comes from accepting reality for what it is. They didn't shy away from acknowledging the harshness of life, but they also knew that the key to serenity was found in embracing what is, not what could be. Acceptance is not about resignation. It's about finding peace in the present moment. Instead of wishing for a better reality, we can learn to find gratitude for the one we have. It's easy to fall into the trap of constantly wishing for something more or different. We look at our job, our relationships, or our current situation and think, if only this were better, then I'd be happy. But when we do that, we miss out on the peace that's available right now. The Stoics understood that when we resist what is, we create inner conflict. It's like fighting against the current of a river. No matter how hard you try, you can't control the flow. Instead of fighting life's natural course, the Stoics taught that peace comes from accepting things as they are and finding gratitude in the present moment. Gratitude doesn't mean you're giving up on improvement. It means you're acknowledging what's good right now, even if things aren't perfect. There's something deeply freeing about this practice. When we shift our focus from what's missing to what we already have, we stop wasting energy on frustration and start investing in peace. It doesn't mean we stop striving for better things. It doesn't mean we ignore the struggles we face. It simply means that we're no longer allowing our frustrations to control us. We free ourselves from the trap of constant dissatisfaction by practicing gratitude for what is. And it's not about waiting for big, dramatic moments of gratitude to show up. It's about acknowledging the small things, the things we might otherwise overlook. The warmth of a cup of coffee in the morning, the sound of birds outside your window, or the support of a friend who listens when you need them. These small moments are just as worthy of your gratitude as the big milestones, and in fact, practicing gratitude for the little things is what sets the foundation for peace. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." This idea rings true when we think about the things we wish were different in our lives. The more we resist what is, the more energy we give to frustration and negativity. But when we shift our focus to gratitude, when we embrace the reality we have, even with all its imperfections, we take the power back. We stop letting what we don't have steal our joy. Instead, we recognize and appreciate the beauty and the blessings that already exist in our lives. This isn't about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging that even in imperfection, there is beauty. Even in struggle, there is strength. And when we choose to focus on those things, we move closer to peace. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. It's a choice we make every day. The Stoics were firm believers in this. They didn't wait for life to be perfect before they expressed gratitude. They didn't wait for external circumstances to align with their desires. Instead, they chose to see the good in every situation, even if it wasn't immediately obvious. This is a skill we can all cultivate. It doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. When we take a moment to reflect on what we're grateful for, no matter how small, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. And in that shift, we find peace. Take a moment right now to reflect on what you're grateful for. Maybe it's the opportunity to learn something new today, or maybe it's something simple, like the comfort of your favorite chair or the food on your plate. No matter how small, take a moment to pause and acknowledge these things. It's easy to overlook the little things in life, but it's these moments that truly make up our day-to-day experience. Gratitude is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. And as you strengthen this muscle, you begin to build a life where peace is no longer dependent on what's happening outside of you. It becomes something you create from within, no matter your circumstances. Gratitude also helps us build resilience. When we focus on the good, it doesn't mean we ignore the challenges. We simply choose to see beyond them. The Stoics didn't pretend that life was always easy, but they chose to focus on the lessons in adversity. By practicing gratitude, we're able to find meaning and growth even in difficult situations. It's like training our minds to look for the silver lining, even when the clouds seem heavy. This mindset shift doesn't make the problems go away, but it helps us deal with them more effectively. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, we feel equipped. Gratitude makes us stronger because it reminds us that, even in the toughest moments, we are not powerless. The key here is consistency. Gratitude isn't something we do once in a while. It's a practice that we weave into our daily lives. It's easy to be grateful when everything is going well, but it's when life feels hard, when the obstacles seem overwhelming, that gratitude becomes a powerful tool. When you choose to be grateful in the face of hardship, you're not ignoring the difficulty. You're choosing to face it with a heart full of appreciation for everything that is working in your favor. Gratitude gives you a new lens through which to view the world, and through that lens, even the darkest moments seem a little brighter. As you go about your day, try to find moments to pause and express gratitude. It could be as simple as appreciating the warmth of the sun on your face or the kindness of a stranger. Take a few seconds to reflect on these moments and allow yourself to truly feel gratitude. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become. You'll start to notice how much more peaceful and grounded you feel. You'll stop waiting for things to change to feel happy, and instead, you'll feel content with what is, right here, right now. Gratitude turns what we have into enough, and in that sufficiency, we find a deep and lasting peace. In the end, Peace doesn't come from wishing life were different. It comes from accepting what is, finding joy in the present moment, and being grateful for the simple blessings that surround us every day. The Stoics were masters at finding peace in the midst of imperfection, and their wisdom can guide us to do the same. So, the next time you find yourself wishing things were different, remember to take a moment, pause, and ask yourself, what am I grateful for right now? In that simple practice, you'll find the peace you're looking for. Rule 9. Focus on what you can control. We spend so much of our time frustrated by things beyond our control, things like the weather, other people's behavior, or situations that seem to unfold without our input. It's easy to get caught up in these external factors, believing that if we could just change them, everything would be better. We want to control the world around us, to make everything line up perfectly with our desires. But here's the reality. You can't control most things in life. The Stoics understood this very well. They taught that peace and happiness don't come from controlling everything around you. They come from learning to focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. Everything else, let it go. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from releasing the need to control the uncontrollable. Think about it. How many times have you spent your day stressed, upset, or even angry because of something you couldn't control? Maybe a flight got delayed, or someone cut in front of you in line. These are situations we can't change, yet we often waste so much time and energy being upset about them. But here's the truth. Wasting your energy on things you can't control only drains your peace. It doesn't change the outcome of the situation. It just leaves you feeling frustrated and powerless. What the Stoics teach us is this. Take back your power by focusing on what you can control. And the one thing you can always control is how you respond to the situation. Let's be clear about this. Focusing on what you can control doesn't mean you stop caring about the things that matter. It doesn't mean you don't work to improve your life or strive for better circumstances. What it means is that you shift your energy from trying to change things that are out of your hands to changing the things that are within your control. And that's a huge distinction. The Stoics weren't passive. They didn't encourage apathy or indifference. They encouraged awareness of the things you can change and acceptance of the things you can't. In other words, stop fighting against the things that you have no influence over, and instead focus on the way you think, the way you act, and the way you respond. Think about your day today. How much of it was spent worrying about things that were completely outside of your control? Maybe you were upset by something someone said, or frustrated by a situation at work. But if you break it down, you'll realize that a lot of those things were beyond your control. You can't control other people's words or actions, and you can't control circumstances that arise unexpectedly. What you can control is how you interpret those situations and how you react to them. Now let's get practical. The next time you're facing a difficult situation or feeling frustrated by something you can't change, stop and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then let it go. Instead of spinning in circles, trying to change something that you can't, redirect your energy to something that you can influence. Focus on what's in your power, how you think, how you respond, and how you take action. This simple mental shift can change the way you experience the world. It's liberating to realize that you don't have to carry the weight of things beyond your control. It frees up so much energy, leaving you with more space to focus on the things that really matter, your own growth, your relationships, and your personal peace of mind. One way to apply this rule is to make a mental list of the things you're upset about or stressed over, and then ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? You'll probably find that most of the things on your list are things you have no control over. Once you've identified what's beyond your reach, take a deep breath and let them go. Stop investing energy into things that you can't change. Instead, use that energy to focus on what you can control: your actions, your mindset, and your reactions. By focusing on these areas, you regain your peace and regain your power. There's another layer to this too. The more you practice focusing on what you can control, the more you realize that most of life's challenges are opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing challenges as setbacks, you begin to see them as ways to build resilience. For instance, if something doesn't go according to plan, instead of stressing over the outcome, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This perspective not only helps you stay calm in difficult situations, but it also helps you grow from them. You stop seeing the world as something to control and start seeing it as something to learn from. This is one of the key tenets of Stoic philosophy. View challenges as lessons, not as obstacles. We all have our moments where we feel overwhelmed or frustrated by the uncontrollable forces in our lives. Maybe you've been working toward a goal, and despite your best efforts, things aren't going your way. It's easy to feel defeated, like you've hit a wall. But the Stoics teach us to shift our focus from the outcome to the process. Instead of obsessing over what's out of your control, focus on what you can do right now. It's not about achieving perfection or getting everything exactly right. It's about showing up, doing your best, and controlling the things that are within your reach. The moment you make this shift, you'll realize that you're not as powerless as you may have once thought. You have power over your actions, over how you approach challenges, and over how you view the world around you. This shift also helps you to stop comparing yourself to others. When you focus on what you can control, you stop worrying about what others are doing or achieving. You realize that everyone's journey is different, and instead of getting caught up in envy or frustration over someone else's success, you focus on your own progress. You stop seeing other people as competitors or threats, and instead, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself. It's an incredibly freeing mindset, because it allows you to stop measuring your worth against others. Your journey is your own, and by focusing on what you can control, you begin to move forward at your own pace. As you start practicing this principle, something amazing happens. You stop being a slave to circumstances. Instead of feeling tossed around by life's unpredictability, you begin to take charge of your own responses. You realize that while you can't control what happens to you, you always have control over how you react. This is where the real power lies. Your emotional state doesn't have to depend on external factors. It depends on your choices, your mindset, and your ability to focus on what's within your control. When you truly embrace this, you'll find a sense of calm and confidence that comes from within. So the next time you find yourself frustrated or upset about something you can't change, remind yourself, this is beyond my control, but I control my response. Let it go. Focus on what you can change. Shift your energy to your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. You have more control over your life than you think, and once you start focusing on that, you'll find that peace and growth come naturally. Rule 10. Cultivate the art of silence. Anger can be one of the most overpowering emotions. It builds up quickly, surging through you in a way that feels almost uncontrollable. And in that moment, the impulse to lash out, to speak your mind, to let others know exactly how you feel is incredibly strong. But what if, instead of reacting, you chose silence? What if, instead of allowing your emotions to dictate your response, you decided to remain silent and allow the moment to pass? The Stoics knew that silence, when used properly, can be an incredibly powerful tool. Sometimes saying nothing at all is the strongest response you can give. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending you're fine when you're not. It's about recognizing that your silence is a form of control, a way to regain your peace and maintain your composure when the world around you is trying to provoke you. The next time someone insults you or cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting with anger, try this. Say nothing. It sounds simple, but the power of silence is profound. By not reacting, you regain control over the situation. When you respond to an insult or a slight with silence, you're not giving the other person the satisfaction of getting a reaction out of you. It's easy to feel like we need to defend ourselves when we're attacked, whether that's verbally or in some other way. But the Stoic practice teaches us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is say nothing at all. Silence is not weakness. It's a sign of inner strength. It's an acknowledgement that you are in control of your emotions, not the other person. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you reacted in anger only to regret it later? Words spoken in the heat of the moment can't be taken back. Once they're out there, they can cause damage. Damage to yourself, to your relationships, to your peace of mind. But silence doesn't have that same risk. In silence, we create a gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap, we find the opportunity to regain our control. It's a powerful tool because it reminds us that we don't need to prove anything to anyone. We don't need to justify ourselves or defend our honor or retaliate in the same way. Instead, we can choose to hold our ground with quiet confidence. Silence also forces us to pause and reflect. When someone insults us or when something triggers our anger, there's often a rush to retaliate. But taking a moment of silence allows us to ask ourselves, what's really going on here? When we resist the urge to immediately react, we give ourselves the opportunity to reflect on what's happening and why we're feeling the way we are. Is the insult really about us, or is it more about the other person's state of mind? Is the situation worth reacting to, or would silence actually allow us to preserve our peace and move on? By taking a step back and choosing silence, we open up the space to answer these questions thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. That pause can prevent us from saying or doing something we might regret. The art of silence is a practice. It's not something that comes naturally to most of us, especially when we feel wronged. We're wired to defend ourselves, to assert our rights, to react when we're insulted. But by practicing silence in our daily interactions, we begin to build that inner strength. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of swearing under your breath or honking your horn, try just sitting quietly for a moment. Let the situation pass without engaging. The first time you do this, it might feel strange, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You'll find that silence gives you a sense of peace and power. You're no longer controlled by your immediate reactions, but instead you're responding from a place of calm and clarity. Silence also has a unique way of shifting the dynamics in interactions. When you choose to remain silent in the face of provocation, it can leave the other person unsure of how to react. Your silence disarms them because they are no longer able to get the reaction they expect. Instead of feeding into their negativity, you simply refuse to engage. And often, this causes them to second-guess themselves. It forces them to confront their own behavior without you saying a word. In silence, you maintain the upper hand. This isn't to say that silence is always the right response. There are certainly times when speaking up is necessary, when setting boundaries, when standing up for yourself, when addressing injustice. But even in those situations, there is power in choosing the right words at the right time. Silence is not about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about choosing to respond with intention and awareness rather than reacting out of emotion. The next time you're in a situation where anger is rising, remember that silence gives you the space to choose your response thoughtfully. It allows you to step out of the cycle of reactive emotions and step into a place of control and clarity. The power of silence goes beyond just managing anger. It's a practice of self-discipline. By choosing silence, you are choosing to control your impulses. You are choosing to be the person who doesn't get swept up in the chaos, but instead stays grounded and composed. Silence teaches you that you don't need to be involved in every drama, every conflict, or every moment of tension. You can observe, reflect, and then choose whether or not to engage. This ability to detach and remain silent is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of inner strength. It's the strength to not let the external world dictate your inner world. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where anger is rising, choose silence. Don't feel pressured to react. In that moment, take a deep breath, step back, and allow yourself to process what's happening. Remember that silence is a choice, and in that choice, you reclaim your peace. It's not always easy, but with practice, it becomes second nature. And over time, you'll find that silence gives you more control than any reaction ever could. Rule 11. Shift your focus. Anger has a way of creeping up when we least expect it. It can arise out of nowhere, triggered by something as small as a rude comment or as frustrating as being stuck in traffic. It pulls us in, making it feel like our entire world is suddenly revolving around that moment of irritation. But the truth is, anger often arises when we focus on the wrong things. We fixate on the insults, the traffic, the minor inconveniences that pop up during our day. We give them our attention, and in return, they take our peace. But what if we could shift our focus? What if, instead of feeding the anger, we redirected our attention to something more positive, something that brings us peace and clarity? The Stoics, with their deep understanding of the human condition, taught us that our minds should be focused on things that truly matter: wisdom, growth, and virtue. They knew that the key to maintaining peace in a chaotic world is by choosing what we focus on. Anger often grows when we allow ourselves to get caught up in the small, uncontrollable aspects of life. When we focus on the negative, on what's wrong, we amplify those feelings. But when we choose to shift our focus, when we decide to place our attention on things that nourish our spirit, we take away anger's power. This isn't about denying the reality of frustration or pretending things don't bother us. It's about choosing to focus on what we can control, what brings us peace and joy. Think about the last time you felt that surge of anger. What were you focusing on? Maybe it was someone's careless words or the feeling of being disrespected. Maybe it was the rush of frustration when things didn't go as planned. In that moment, your focus was entirely on the external circumstances. But what would happen if you could take a step back and refocus your mind? Instead of allowing those external factors to control your emotional state, you could turn your attention to something more meaningful: your goals, your passions, your growth. The Stoics taught that our minds should be focused on things that are under our control, like how we respond to situations and how we grow from them. Instead of letting anger consume you, you could channel that energy into something positive, something that serves you. When you feel anger rising, take a moment to pause and redirect your focus. This simple shift can make all the difference. Instead of spiraling into frustration, think about something that excites you, something that lights you up. Whether it's a project you're passionate about, a goal you're working towards, or even just appreciating the beauty around you, taking a few seconds to focus on the positive can pull you out of the grip of anger and bring you back to a place of calm. It's not about dismissing the reality of the situation, but rather about choosing where you place your energy. The more you practice this shift, the easier it becomes to break the cycle of anger and frustration. You begin to realize that anger is often a result of focusing on things that don't deserve your attention. One of the most powerful things you can do when anger starts to rise is to change your perspective. Anger often feels justified when we believe we've been wronged. But the Stoics remind us that external events are beyond our control. What we can control is how we respond to them. By choosing to focus on something positive, you take back control of your emotional state. This shift in focus is a reminder that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are in charge of how you react to them. Instead of letting anger dictate your actions, you can choose to channel that energy into something constructive. This could mean focusing on a personal project, thinking about your long-term goals, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the small joys of the present moment. The key here is not letting external events control your inner world. The Stoics knew that life would present countless challenges, some of them frustrating, some of them painful, but they also knew that how we respond to those challenges is what truly matters. Anger is often a response to our perception of the situation. By changing our focus, we can change how we perceive the situation. The next time you're in a frustrating moment, remind yourself that your emotional response is your choice. You don't have to let anger rule you. Instead, you can choose to focus on something that helps you grow, something that brings you peace. The more you practice this shift in focus, the easier it becomes. At first, it might feel challenging, especially when the world around you is triggering your emotions. But over time, you'll find that you have more control over your reactions. Instead of allowing anger to control you, you'll be the one who chooses how to respond. And the more you practice this, the more natural it will feel to redirect your attention to something positive. You'll realize that you don't have to get caught in the cycle of negativity. Instead, you can choose to focus on what serves you, what helps you grow, and what brings you peace. There's also a deep sense of freedom that comes with this practice. When you stop letting external circumstances control your emotional state, you begin to realize how much power you really have. The Stoics believed that peace comes from within, and by focusing on what you can control, you take back your peace. You stop allowing the external world to dictate how you feel. Instead, you create a foundation of inner calm that remains steady, no matter what's happening around you. This is where true strength lies, in your ability to focus on what matters and to let go of what doesn't. Ultimately, this practice isn't about denying your emotions or pretending they don't exist. Anger is a natural human response, and it's okay to feel it. What the Stoics teach us is that we don't have to let anger control us. We don't have to let it dictate our actions, our decisions, or our peace of mind. By shifting our focus from what we can't control to what we can, we regain our sense of calm and clarity. We take back our power, and in that power, we find the strength to move through life with intention, wisdom, and peace. So, the next time anger rises, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I choosing to focus on? Redirect your focus to what matters and watch how quickly your peace returns. Rule 12. Don't feed the beast. Anger is a powerful emotion, but it can quickly become destructive if we let it take control. It's like a beast that grows stronger the more we feed it. At first, anger might feel justified, a natural response to something that has wronged us, something we feel is unfair. But if we give in to that anger, if we keep feeding it with more frustration, resentment, and negative thoughts, it begins to grow. What starts as a small spark turns into an uncontrollable fire, burning us from the inside out. The Stoics understood this deeply. Anger is a destructive force, and the more you feed it, the more it will hurt you. Seneca captured this truth perfectly when he said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than to the one who wronged us." In other words, holding on to anger doesn't just damage our relationships or cause us to lash out at others. It harms us. It poisons our peace of mind, clouds our judgment, and leaves us stuck in a cycle of negativity. When we feel anger rising, it can be easy to indulge in it. Our minds start replaying the injustice over and over, feeding the beast of anger with each thought. But this only makes it stronger. The more we focus on what has angered us, the more power we give it over our emotions. The Stoics knew this all too well. They didn't deny that anger was a natural response. Rather, they taught that we have the power to choose whether or not we give it control. The moment we recognize anger within ourselves, we have a choice: to either feed it and let it grow, or to starve it by turning our attention elsewhere. The key to mastering anger is learning to redirect our focus before it consumes us. It might sound easier said than done, but the more we practice this shift, the easier it becomes. The first step is simply recognizing that you're angry. The moment you become aware of the rising tension, the frustration, the heat building in your chest, you've already taken the first step toward regaining control. Recognizing anger is crucial because it allows you to take a step back before it takes over. Often, we don't realize we're angry until it's too late. We react, we lash out, we say things we don't mean. But if we can learn to notice the signs of anger early, we can choose not to feed the beast. It's in those early moments that we can make the decision to change our focus, to stop feeding the anger with more thoughts, and to let it starve. Seneca's words remind us that anger doesn't just harm the person we're angry at, it harms us. When we let anger fester, we allow it to control us. We become prisoners of our own emotions. And what's worse is that, like a beast, anger often comes back for more. The more we feed it, the more it demands. It's a vicious cycle. But when we make the conscious choice to stop feeding it, we take back our power. Instead of reacting, we choose to pause and redirect our attention. It might not be easy at first, but with practice, it becomes second nature. So how do we stop feeding the beast of anger? The first step is to take a moment to breathe. When you feel anger rising, stop for a second. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and give yourself a moment of space. This pause gives you the opportunity to decide how you want to respond. Do you want to continue feeding the anger, allowing it to grow and control you? Or do you want to starve it, to let it fade away by shifting your attention to something else? The choice is yours. The moment you redirect your focus, whether it's by thinking about something positive, focusing on your goals, or simply appreciating the beauty around you, you stop feeding the beast. The Stoics were masters at this. They knew that life would bring challenges, and they didn't shy away from the fact that anger would arise. But what they taught was that anger is not something that should control us. We have the power to decide when we engage with it and when we let it go. By shifting our focus to things that matter, to things we can control, we start to weaken the grip of anger. Instead of allowing it to take over, we take back control of our emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing anger or pretending it doesn't exist. It means recognizing it for what it is, a fleeting emotion that doesn't have to control us. Another way to starve the beast of anger is by changing your perspective on the situation. Often, we get angry because we feel wronged, disrespected, or misunderstood. But by choosing to see the situation from a different angle, we can begin to detach from the emotional reaction. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you can learn from the situation. Maybe this person who upset you is acting from their own pain or frustration. Maybe the situation you're in is a chance for you to practice patience or self-control. By choosing to focus on the lesson, we remove the emotional charge from the situation. We stop feeding the anger, and instead, we feed our growth. This practice of not feeding the beast of anger also helps us build resilience. Each time we choose to let go of anger instead of indulging it, we grow stronger. We learn to control our impulses and to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting emotionally. Over time, this makes us less likely to get caught up in negative emotions. We stop giving our power away to external circumstances, and we start to feel more grounded and in control of our emotions. The more we practice this, the more we become accustomed to choosing peace over anger, calm over chaos, clarity over confusion. One of the most powerful aspects of not feeding the beast is the sense of freedom it brings. When we choose not to engage with anger, we free ourselves from its control. We stop allowing others' actions to dictate our emotional state. Imagine being able to go through your day without letting small inconveniences or irritations throw you off balance. Imagine not reacting in anger every time someone disrespects you or something doesn't go your way. By choosing not to feed the anger, we create space for peace. We stop carrying the weight of negative emotions, and instead we embrace a sense of calm that is not dependent on what's happening around us. When you make the decision to not feed the beast of anger, you also teach others how to treat you. People will start to recognize that you are not easily provoked, that you don't engage in drama or conflict. This makes you less of a target for negativity, and it also sets a standard for how others should treat you. Instead of feeding into their negativity, you maintain your peace. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you choose to respond with calm, dignity, and grace, no matter how others behave. This kind of emotional mastery is incredibly powerful. It doesn't just change your relationships with others, it changes your relationship with yourself. As you practice not feeding the beast of anger, you begin to realize that you are in control. The circumstances around you may be unpredictable, but how you respond to them is entirely up to you. This is the heart of Stoic wisdom. We cannot control the world, but we can always control our reactions. By choosing not to feed anger, we regain our emotional sovereignty and find peace. The more we practice this, the more we realize that peace isn't something we have to wait for. It's something we create, moment by moment, choice by choice. So, the next time anger begins to rise, take a step back and recognize it for what it is, a beast that only grows stronger the more you feed it. Instead of feeding it, choose to starve it. Shift your focus to something positive. Redirect your energy to what you can control. You have the power to choose peace over anger, and every time you make that choice, you build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Rule 13. Practice patience. Patience is one of those qualities that's often undervalued, even though it has the potential to change how we experience the world. In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to forget the power of patience. We're constantly rushing, constantly pushing for more, always in a hurry to get to the next thing. But in all that haste, we often miss the opportunity to simply be present and to respond with calm instead of frustration. Patience, though, is a Stoic virtue that teaches us to slow down and take a breath before reacting. It's not about letting life pass us by. It's about learning how to handle life's challenges with grace and control. Patience is not just waiting for something to happen. It's about how we react during the wait, how we manage our emotions, and how we choose to move forward when things don't go as planned. The Stoics understood that much of our suffering comes from impatience, our desire for things to be different than they are. for situations to unfold the way we want them to, or for people to behave the way we expect them to. Patience, however, is about accepting that life doesn't always follow our timeline, and instead of getting frustrated, we learn to adjust, adapt, and continue moving forward with composure. This doesn't mean we let things slide or ignore problems. It means we don't let frustration or anger cloud our judgment or interfere with our actions. True patience is not just about waiting passively, but about cultivating inner strength in the face of life's frustrations. When you practice patience, you're not just passively enduring the things that annoy you or don't go your way. Patience allows you to create space between stimulus and response, giving you the opportunity to choose your reaction rather than reacting impulsively. Think about the last time you were in a situation that tested your patience. Maybe you were stuck in traffic, or perhaps you were dealing with a difficult person at work. In that moment, did you react out of frustration, or did you pause, take a breath, and respond with a calm mind? In those moments, patience is your superpower. Instead of letting the frustration take hold, you choose to handle it with composure. This choice doesn't just benefit you in the moment, it helps build resilience for future challenges. One of the most powerful things about patience is that it helps us break the cycle of reactive emotions. When we're impatient, we react quickly, often in ways we regret later. But when we practice patience, we give ourselves the space to respond thoughtfully, to choose how we want to react. It's like stepping out of the automatic reaction loop and into a place of control. And this isn't just about big dramatic moments. Patience is something that can be practiced in the small everyday situations, waiting in line, dealing with a rude comment, or working through a setback. The more we practice patience in these small moments, the easier it becomes to stay calm when bigger challenges arise. Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote is a perfect reminder that patience is an act of self-mastery. It's a choice to take control over our emotions rather than allowing them to control us. It's about learning to respond with wisdom instead of reacting out of frustration, and this doesn't just apply to moments of anger or irritation, it applies to every part of life. Patience helps us navigate the challenges of life with clarity and calm. When we're not in a rush, we can think more clearly, make better decisions, and maintain our peace, even when things don't go as planned. We live in a world where instant gratification is the norm. We want things fast, fast food, fast internet, quick results. But this expectation of speed can often lead to frustration when things don't happen on our timeline. Patience teaches us to slow down, to accept that things take time, and that sometimes the best things come when we're willing to wait. It's not always easy, and it certainly requires practice, but patience is a skill that improves with every moment we choose to cultivate it. The next time you find yourself impatient, take a step back and pause. Whether you're stuck in traffic or dealing with a difficult person, ask yourself, how can I respond with patience right now? This simple question can change the course of your reaction. Instead of immediately feeling frustrated or angry, you create a moment of awareness where you can choose a different path. It might be as simple as taking a deep breath, reminding yourself that this moment is temporary, or focusing on something positive that you can control. In that pause, you'll find your power. One of the most effective ways to practice patience is by reminding yourself that not everything is within your control. We often get impatient when we want things to happen on our terms, on our timeline, but life doesn't always cooperate with our plans. When we practice patience, we're learning to accept that some things are out of our hands. This doesn't mean giving up on our goals. It means accepting that the timing of those goals may not always be in our control. And rather than getting frustrated by that, We can practice patience by focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. Patience is also a great teacher when it comes to dealing with others. People can be frustrating, they can be rude, inconsiderate, or difficult to understand. But rather than reacting with anger or frustration, patience allows us to step back and see things from their perspective. Maybe the person who's frustrating you is having a bad day, or perhaps they're dealing with something you don't know about. Patience helps us approach others with empathy instead of judgment, allowing us to build better relationships and respond more thoughtfully to difficult situations. In every interaction, patience is the key to maintaining your peace. Whether you're dealing with a difficult person or waiting for something to happen, patience allows you to stay grounded. It doesn't mean that you let things slide or ignore problems. It means that you choose to respond from a place of calm, not frustration. Patience helps you handle life's challenges with wisdom, keeping your peace intact no matter what comes your way. And here's the beauty of it. Patience doesn't just help you in difficult situations, it enhances every aspect of your life. It improves your decision-making, because when you're not rushing, you can think more clearly and make better choices. It enhances your relationships, because you're able to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. And most importantly, patience gives you the freedom to live your life on your own terms without being controlled by the external world. As you begin to practice patience more intentionally, you'll start to see the benefits in your own life. You'll find that the things that once irritated you no longer have the same power over you. You'll feel more in control of your emotions and more at peace with life's unpredictability. Patience teaches us to flow with life, to let go of our attachment to perfection and accept things as they are. And in doing so, we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So the next time you feel frustration building, remember that patience is your ally. Take a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect on how you can approach the situation with calm and wisdom. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about responding with grace. And in that grace, you'll find the strength to handle whatever life throws your way. Rule 14. Simplify your expectations. Expectations are a funny thing. We set them up in our minds, creating this ideal version of how things should be. We expect people to act a certain way, life to unfold according to a plan, and the world to align with our desires. But more often than not, we end up feeling disappointed, frustrated, and let down. The truth is, expectations are a breeding ground for frustration. They set us up for failure before we even get started. And the more we hold on to these expectations, the more we tie our happiness and peace to something that is completely outside our control. But here's where the Stoics have a profound lesson to teach us. Instead of placing all of our energy into managing external outcomes and others' actions, we should focus on managing our own responses. This shift, though subtle, has the power to transform how we experience life. We all know what it feels like to have high expectations that aren't met. Whether it's expecting someone to be there for you, expecting your plans to go smoothly, or expecting the world to treat you with fairness, the disappointment hits hard when things don't turn out the way you envisioned. But the Stoics teach us to shift away from these expectations and to focus more on our internal reactions. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, like how others behave or how life unfolds, we should focus on how we respond. We can't control the actions of others, but we can control how we react to those actions. And when we lower our expectations, we free ourselves from the grip of disappointment and open the door to peace. Expecting little from others is not about being cynical or giving up on people. It's about accepting the reality that people by nature are imperfect. They will disappoint you, let you down, and sometimes act in ways that don't align with your values or expectations. And that's okay. When we understand that no one is perfect and that everyone has their own struggles, flaws, and challenges, we begin to approach our relationships with more empathy and less frustration. The Stoics weren't suggesting that we stop caring or loving others. They simply encouraged us to let go of the unrealistic expectation that people will always act in ways that meet our needs or desires. Instead, we shift our focus to what we can control, our own reactions. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This quote can also apply to expectations. Part of becoming who we truly are is learning to let go of the shoulds, those mental constructs that tell us how things should be, how people should behave, and how life should unfold. These shoulds often lead to frustration because they set up an ideal version of reality that's hard, if not impossible, to achieve. Instead, when we practice the art of lowering our expectations, we begin to accept life as it is, not as we wish it would be. This shift doesn't mean we stop having standards or goals, but it does mean that we no longer let disappointment control us when things don't go our way. Lowering your expectations of others doesn't mean that you have to lower your standards or accept poor treatment. Instead, it means that you release the pressure of demanding perfection or ideal behavior from the people in your life. People will make mistakes, they will act in ways that disappoint you, and sometimes they'll fall short of your expectations. But instead of letting that destroy your peace, you let it go. You remind yourself that their actions don't define your happiness and that you're not at the mercy of their behavior. By shifting your focus to how you respond, you can find peace no matter what others do. This is a powerful tool, especially in relationships. Whether it's with family, friends, or colleagues, we often set ourselves up for disappointment by expecting others to act the way we want them to. We expect them to treat us a certain way, respond in a particular manner, or meet our emotional needs. But when those expectations are not met, we end up hurt, angry, or resentful. The Stoics would say that the key to peace is not trying to control how others behave, but learning to control how we react. If we can accept others for who they are, without the added weight of our expectations, we can approach our relationships with more compassion, understanding, and peace. Think about how much energy we spend on holding on to these expectations. We stress over what others will do or say, how situations will unfold, and whether things will go according to plan. But when we let go of those shoulds and accept things as they are, we find that our lives become less stressful and more peaceful. We stop waiting for the world to change to meet our standards, and instead, we change our perspective and find peace within ourselves. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. It means that we choose to embrace the present moment without the burden of unrealistic expectations. One of the most liberating aspects of lowering expectations is the freedom it brings. When you stop holding on to rigid expectations, you free yourself from constant disappointment. You stop living in a world where things must be a certain way for you to be happy. Instead, you find contentment in the present moment, regardless of whether things unfold exactly as you want them to. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from accepting life as it is, not as we wish it would be. This acceptance doesn't mean we stop striving for better things. It means we stop being attached to how those things unfold. We focus on what we can control and let go of the rest. In practical terms, this means making a conscious effort to let go of your shoulds. The next time you find yourself getting upset because something didn't go as expected, take a moment to pause and remind yourself that life is not about meeting your expectations. Life is about responding with wisdom and accepting what is. When you let go of the pressure to control everything around you, you create space for peace, contentment, and acceptance. Instead of feeling frustrated, you can choose to respond with understanding and grace, knowing that your peace doesn't depend on anyone else's actions. You don't need to chase after perfection. You can find happiness in the imperfections of life. This shift in perspective can also help you stop comparing yourself to others. We often set unrealistic expectations for ourselves, believing that we should be doing better, achieving more, or living a different life. But when we let go of these shoulds, we stop measuring our worth by comparisons and external standards. We begin to appreciate ourselves for who we are, and we find peace in our own journey, without the need for constant validation or comparison. By practicing this rule, you begin to realize that the less you expect from others, the more you free yourself to live with peace and freedom. When you stop clinging to rigid expectations, you give yourself the space to respond to life with greater clarity, wisdom, and resilience. You stop letting the actions of others control your emotional state, and instead, you choose to be in charge of your own peace. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to live with less frustration, less stress, and more contentment. So, the next time you feel yourself getting upset by something or someone, remind yourself, life doesn't owe me perfection. I will lower my expectations, accept what is, and find peace in the process. Rule 15. Embrace impermanence. We often get caught up in the heat of the moment, when anger flares, frustration mounts, or life seems to be going off course. We become so absorbed in the present that it feels as though the situation we're in will last forever, that the emotions we're feeling now are permanent. But here's the thing. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is temporary. This is a lesson the Stoics embraced with open arms. They understood that both good and bad moments are fleeting, and this understanding helped them find peace in the most chaotic of situations. Anger, frustration, and even the things that trigger them will pass. It's not easy to accept in the heat of the moment, but the Stoic practice of embracing impermanence can be one of the most powerful tools for staying grounded. Imagine you're having a tough day. Something goes wrong, and all of a sudden, you're filled with anger. The more you think about it, the more you feel like it's consuming you. But the truth is, that feeling of anger will pass. It always does. Anger isn't permanent, and neither is the situation that triggered it. The Stoics would tell you that your anger, no matter how intense it feels right now, is just a temporary response to a temporary situation. It might feel like the world is closing in, but remember that the intensity of your feelings is, like everything else in life, impermanent. We often forget this in the thick of things. When we're upset, it can feel like we'll never find peace again. But that's simply not true. When you embrace the truth that everything is temporary, it becomes easier to navigate these tough moments. The Stoics believed that recognizing the impermanence of life is one of the key ways to find inner peace. By remembering that even the hardest moments won't last forever, we stop letting them define us. Instead of allowing anger or frustration to control us, we can remind ourselves, this too shall pass. With that simple truth, we can let go of the moment and regain control over our emotions. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." This doesn't just apply to accepting our good qualities, it also means accepting the temporary nature of everything, even our emotions. When we can accept that our anger, like all emotions, is just a passing phase, we free ourselves from the grip it holds over us. Recognizing that emotions are temporary helps us detach from them. Instead of identifying with our anger or frustration, we can see it for what it is, a temporary response to something happening right now. This doesn't mean we ignore our feelings, it means we don't let them define us. By accepting their impermanence, we allow ourselves to process them and move on, rather than being stuck in a cycle of negativity. When you're in the middle of an emotional storm, it's easy to feel like it will never end. But by focusing on the temporary nature of all things, we can start to shift our perspective. Our anger is no different from the weather. It will pass. The rain will stop. The sun will come out again, and our feelings will subside. Knowing that helps us take a step back and realize that our emotions are just part of the human experience, not permanent states of being. We don't have to cling to anger or frustration, because in time, they'll fade away. The Stoics used this understanding of impermanence to keep them grounded. They didn't waste time lamenting the past or worrying about the future. Instead, they focused on the present moment, knowing that nothing, neither joy nor sorrow, lasts forever. By embracing this truth, we free ourselves from the need to control or manipulate the situation. We understand that we don't have to change things immediately. We simply have to wait, stay calm, and trust that the moment will pass. This allows us to approach life with more ease and less resistance. Take a moment to reflect on some of the toughest times in your life. At the time, they probably felt like they would last forever. But looking back, you can see that those tough times eventually passed. Everything passes, whether it's good or bad. The moment of anger or frustration you're feeling right now will pass too. It's important to remember that these moments don't define us. They are just fleeting experiences. When you accept the temporary nature of your emotions, you're able to detach from them, acknowledge them without becoming consumed by them, and move on with your day. So the next time you feel anger rising, try this. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, this too shall pass. This simple affirmation will help you step back from the situation and see it for what it is, a temporary emotional response. By embracing impermanence, you can avoid getting swept away by the storm of your feelings. Instead of getting caught up in the intensity of the moment, you can remain grounded, knowing that the feeling of anger is just a passing wave. It doesn't have to control you. This practice can also help in your interactions with others. When someone insults you or treats you unfairly, it's easy to feel like it's the end of the world. But when you remind yourself that these moments are fleeting, you free yourself from taking things too personally. Instead of reacting out of anger, you can take a step back, recognize the impermanence of the situation, and respond with more calm. You're no longer held hostage by your emotions. Instead, you become an observer of them. This shift in perspective not only helps you manage anger, but it also helps you build emotional resilience. Another benefit of embracing impermanence is that it helps you practice patience and acceptance. When you know that things won't last forever, you're less likely to resist or fight against them. You can allow the moment to pass naturally, without forcing a change or trying to control the situation. Whether it's waiting for someone to come around or giving yourself time to process your feelings, knowing that the moment is temporary helps you remain at peace. The Stoics understood that peace comes not from changing the world around us, but from accepting it as it is. By embracing the idea of impermanence, we also learn to be more present in our lives. When we're not consumed by the fear that things will always be the way they are right now, we can focus on what truly matters. We can let go of the need to control the uncontrollable and instead pour our energy into things we can influence: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. This is how we reclaim our peace. In conclusion, when anger rises, frustration sets in, or life throws us a curveball, remember this simple truth: this too shall pass. Anger, like all things, is temporary. When we embrace the impermanence of our emotions, we stop letting them control us. Instead of fighting against our feelings or letting them define our reality, we can choose to let them pass, knowing that peace is always just around the corner. Life is ever-changing, and by accepting this, we find the strength to face whatever comes with calm, clarity, and confidence. So next time you're caught in a storm of emotion, pause and remind yourself, this moment is temporary, and I am stronger than this feeling. Remember, no matter what you're facing right now, it will pass. Embrace the impermanence of your emotions, and in doing so, find the strength to rise above them. You have the power to choose peace, even in the midst of chaos. Thank you for being part of the Stoic Journal community. If this video resonated with you, be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on the screen to continue your journey towards inner peace and self-mastery. Stay grounded, stay calm, and always choose to live with intention.